Hey, what's up, guys? So today I decided to do something a little bit different. I usually have a waiver wire video on Tuesdays, as you guys know. However, this waiver wire, it's really nothing out there. You got Sam Darnold and the Jets. You know, if you could get Robbie Anderson, Jamison Crowder, Chris Herndon, all the Jets are worth a pickup now that Sam Darnold is back. And then a couple of stash backs. We don't know what the situation is with David Johnson, but it looks like he can miss week 6. So obviously you like Chase Edmonds, especially if you're a DJ owner. And then you got Benny Snell now that, Samuels is going to miss at least a month and Connor has been banged up pretty much every week. So besides that, not a whole lot. You could take a shot with Gerald Everett, the Rams tight end, but he faces San Francisco. You guys saw what San Francisco did to Cleveland. So there's just not a whole lot out there besides maybe some plug-and-play receivers, none of which I feel are worth even mentioning or spending a high priority on. However, what I want to talk about today is, first, let's look at this clip by Saquon Barkely that he said last week when they interviewed him about how quickly he has healed from his high ankle sprain.
My mindset not going to change from the day I got hurt. I wasn't going to allow myself to take a negative approach to it. I'm a big believer with healing. A lot of it's mental also too, and just trusting the trainers, and they've been doing a great job. And not only my trainers here, but my physical therapists all went outside of football, been doing a great job with me too, and just trying to do whatever I can to help my team win games and just trying to get as ready as I can.
Now, I really like what Saquon said in this clip. He said, my mindset is not going to change. You see, a lot of you guys struggle with this. You don't have the right mindset. You don't have a foundation or a backbone. So anything that happens, you guys just come crumbling down. You're looking for answers. You're just acting in a place of desperation, which is negative energy, or you're worried, which is also negative energy, or you're negative, which is obviously negative energy. And guys, I'm not going to get into the whole spiritual ordeal about this, but if you study the law of attraction, what you think, what you feel worried, you feel desperate, you feel aggravated, that's what you're going to attract. So if you're angry, if you're blaming it on a player, you're going to be in situations where you're going to continue to be angry, you're going to continue to be frustrated, you're going to continue to worry because that's what you're thinking, that's what you're feeling, that's what you're going to attract. That's the way the law of attraction works. Now, Saquon also says healing is mental. There's a mental aspect, and that also relates to what I'm talking about. To win in fantasy, guys, it's mental. It's being able to be strong mentally, having a backbone, sticking to the plan, and having faith in your decisions, okay? He also says, trusting the trainers. I'm your trainer. You have to trust me because a lot of you guys are all over the place. It's like, I get this question all the time. Do we still like Mixon? Do we still like Barkley? Do we still like this guy? Do we still like... Guys, when I like a player, I like a player. I don't just jump off a bandwagon because of a couple of bad weeks, a couple of situations. We have to look deeper into why these situations are happening. A lot of people are low on D-Hop. He's had a couple of bad weeks. Guys, Trufant, the corner he went up against, is one of the best in the league. So is Bradbury. So is Ramsey. So you guys it seems like a lot of you guys are chasing points. And that's a very, very dangerous place to be. And that's the quickest way to a bad record, a losing season, is by chasing points. So a lot of you guys might be like, oh, Will Fuller broke out, 50-point game. Let me go after Fuller. Some of you guys are like, oh, Julio, 2 straight games of single digits. Let me get rid of Julio. Then you get rid of Julio, you get Fuller, Fuller bombs, Julio blows up. Then you're like, oh, guys, that's not how you build a team. You see, and I blame the industry. See, the industry doesn't have like a tutorial of how to build championship teams because most of these experts, analysts, have never won a championship Or maybe they won one and they got, because anybody could get lucky, guys. Especially if you're in a league with another, with a bunch of other bad players, anybody could get lucky. But a lot of you guys who have been with me from the start and are building your foundations the proper way are doing really, really well. Or if, you're 2 and 3, you're on the cusp, it's because, maybe you drafted Coleman or Montgomery, you had a couple of injuries, Devontae Adams. We cannot predict some of these things, but it doesn't mean that you just totally abandon ship, you totally get rid of your plan because some unforeseen circumstances happened. We can't help that Big Ben got injured for the year and that affects Juju. You can't help that Devontae Adams got injured. But what you can help is building a solid roster and foundation, which I've shown you how to do, guys. I've been very consistent. I said if you draft towards the front of the draft, you're going to get your CMC, your Barkley, your Kamara. Even Barkley got injured. That's unforeseen. But I said if you draft in the front part, then you probably want to go 3 running backs because there was some receivers that I really like. Did I not tell you that? Those who have been with me can vouch. So if you got a Barkley, if you got a CMC, Kamara, all right? Kamara's had 2 shaky weeks. Barkley's been injured. I know CMC's been a gem, okay? But if you did that, let's say you got Barkley, okay? And let's say in the second round, what I've been telling you guys to get is either Aaron Jones or Kerryon Johnson, because you'll be picking in the back, or David Montgomery. So let's say you ended up with, Saquon, Aaron Jones, David Montgomery. 2 of them have been bust. Barkley to injury, Montgomery has been bust. You're still in good shape. Very few people have a top running back like an Aaron Jones, okay? And then what I tell you guys to do. In the 4th and 5th round, I said get you 2 mini anchors that will equal an anchor. I said get you some combination of Cooper Kupp, Tyler Boyd, Chris Godwin. All those guys would have been available. So even if you bombed out at running back, even if you weren't able to get an anchor, a perceived anchor like an Adams or Hopkins, even though they haven't been playing like that, you had 2 anchors in the 4th and 5th round. Already you got a solid foundation for a team. I told almost everybody, or I did tell everybody, get Austin Hooper in the 8th to 10th round range. So now you got like an extra receiver at tight end. Now, if you were drafting the back end of the draft, I told you guys to get your anchor, whether that's Juju, Adams, Hopkins, Mike Evans, and then get you that other running back, which is Chubb, Mixon, or Cook. That's what I said. Okay? Same thing goes. In the 3rd and 4th round, in the 3rd round, you're either getting Kerryon Johnson or Aaron Jones. Okay? And then in the 4th round, you're going to get Cooper Kupp, Chris Godwin, Tyler Boyd. So even if you got Adams, I can't help the injuries, or Hopkins, who's off to a slow start. If you back them up with Godwin, he's the number 1 overall receiver. You're still good. See, the problem is I get a lot of people telling me that, somebody told me yesterday that Montgomery pick killed me. And I laugh. Because a 3rd round pick doesn't kill you guys. It just doesn't. Everybody after the first 2 rounds is a gamble. Aaron Jones was a gamble. Kerryon Johnson was a gamble. Devontae Freeman was going in the 3rd round. He hasn't really lived up to expectations. Pretty much everybody after the first 2 rounds is a gamble. Okay? So, and if you look at the top wide receivers, I think maybe 2, Julio and Michael Thomas, out of the top 10 receivers, were picked in the 1st round. You got guys like Boyd, who I told you to get, 5th to 6th round pick. Godwin, 4th to 5th round pick. Kupp, 4th to 5th round pick. All in the top 5. DJ Shark was an undrafted free agent. And if you listen to my content, I told you to get him after week 1. And that's why I tell you guys, only use your waivers for elite players. Potential elite players, potential wide receiver 1s, RB1s. I told you guys, I like DJ Shark because he was the only one I knew that had potential to be a wide receiver 1. While other people were picking John Brown, John Ross, because they had these huge games. I knew those guys have been in the league already. They don't have wide receiver one potential, and they're not worth my priority waiver. Only immediate starters and potential elite players. And I see a lot of you guys are trying to trade away your elite players for fluffy package deals. It's like, hey, I'm trading CMC and I'm getting Sony Michel, I'm getting even Julio and all these guys. Guys, a bunch of good players will never equal an elite player. If you have an elite player, you do not trade elite players. You do not trade your CMCs, your Dalvin Cooks, your Nick Chubbs. You just don't. Unless your team is just horrible and you've got a lot of holes to fill and you could get 2 starters, 2 bona fide starters. See, that's the problem though. There's only, and I tell you guys this, there's only like 25 to 30 players that I like in the whole draft. And there's only about 10 or 15 players that you could just plug in and never look back. And that's why I told you guys to get the Godwins, the Cupps, the Boyds, because no matter what, those guys are going to have pretty safe floors just based on volume. I tell you to go after PPR guys who are going to get a ton of targets. You see, a lot of you guys are just trading one receiver. Like if you trade, Will Fuller and, if you trade for Will Fuller and Robbie Anderson and even Calvin Ridley, they're all the same. They're all boom or bust. They all have tremendous upside for great weeks. But you never know which week it's going to be. You never know who's going to do what. So trading for guys and chasing points, you're going to drive yourself mad because you guys don't have a foundation. And that foundation is clearly stated in my book. And if you follow my YouTube videos and if you've been following me for a while, guys, it's all about getting a 3-headed monster. 3 running backs you could plug in each and every week. That 3rd head could be the weakest head. It could be a guy like Lindsey. It could be a guy like Tevin Coleman. Those are upside running backs. They're not gonna produce every single week, but they have the upside to give you 20 to 30 points at any given week. But they also have some downside, which is why you want to, match them up. Which is why I said if you're picking in the top part of the draft, you got your big head, your CMC, that guy. And then the 2nd round, you got your Carry-On or your Aaron Jones. Those are solid RB2s. And then your 3rd head would be the Tevin Coleman, the Lindsey, that guy. And the same thing, if you're picking in the bottom, I told you guys, get your Nick Chubb or Mixon. I know he's been a bust. But if you followed that up with the Carry-On, with the Aaron Jones, and then the 3rd round, you could get you a Montgomery Montgomery has been a bust. Absolutely. But again, if he's your 3rd head, he's giving you at least that 10-point floor because he is getting a bit of volume. He is their goal line back. That offense is a little messy, but still, that's fine for your 3rd back. And then the 4th and 5th rounds, you got your Godwins, your Cupps, that is a formula for success, guys. There's going to be bust at every single round. There just is. There's bust in the 1st round. Look, so far, Devontae Adams has been hurt. DJ now is hurt. Ezekiel Elliott quite hasn't lived up to expectation. Kamara the last couple of weeks hasn't. D-Hop hasn't. Adams is hurt. And then in the 2nd round, who do you got in the 2nd round? Julio has been less than 10 points the last 2 games. I'm not saying these guys are all bust, but I'm just saying, guys, it doesn't come down to one player or even 2 players. It's about building a team. Fantasy, for the most part, is unpredictable. But if you build a team the way I'm telling you, with a 3-headed monster, followed up by another 3 backs, like stash backs, you got your Alexander Madisons, you got your Tony Pollards, you got your, now some new guys are starting to come up, like a Benny Snell, like a Chase Edmonds, Darrell Williams. Okay? Then you get like 1 wide receiver on your bench because, again, we're going after high volume PPR guys here. So we don't need to carry all these receivers because you're not going to be substituting Godwin, Juju, Kupp, Boyd. All these guys are going to get a ton of targets. You could just plug them in, set it, and forget it. That's the way I build my teams. That's why I don't go after T.Y. Hilton and, guys like that. Ridley is a great wide receiver 3. Kind of like that third running back. The wide receiver 3 is your upside guy. So you got your anchor, your mini anchor, and then your upside guy. That's your Ridley. That's your Robbie Anderson. That's your DJ Moore. That's your Christian Kirk. That's your Cortland Sutton, who now is playing like a wide receiver 1. That's who I told you guys to get. I told you guys to get 4 wide receivers. Okay? If you're in 3 wide receiver leagues, if you're in 2 wide receiver leagues, you only need 3 wide receivers because we're picking the right guys. Now, some of these guys, again, there was unseen circumstances. Sam Darnold was out the last couple of weeks, so maybe you did pick Robbie Anderson. But a lot of you guys are wanting to sell off your players now when things are starting to get good. Coleman is back. Darnold is back, which means Robbie Anderson should be back, or even Jamison Crowder. Hopefully Devontae Adams comes back soon. Hopefully D-Hop. I haven't looked at the schedules yet, but in week 6, I doubt he's playing Trufant or Ramsey or Bradbury, so he'll be back on track. But if you guys are just chasing points and if you don't have a foundation because you don't have the right mindset, you guys are just willing to abandon ship. It's like a relationship, guys. If you guys don't have a solid relationship with your girlfriend, if it's not built on trust, some type of commonalities, some type of spiritual connection, the moment she messes up, you're going to be like, I'm done with her. I'm done because it was never built on anything. And you guys, you cannot abandon ship. I have people ask me, so how do we feel about Carson now? How do we feel about Sony Michel now? They're still injury prone. I never not liked Carson or not liked Sony Michel because of their talent. But I always say the best ability is availability. Did all of a sudden Sony Michel, is he trustworthy now? Because he had one good game? He still has a degenerative knee condition. Carson has still missed more games than he's played. So yeah, if you want to go get these guys, Chris Carson I do like more than Sony Michel, but you got to cuff him with Penny. And I still feel like a guy like Dalvin Cook, you got to get Madison. Aaron Jones is still a scary player. And it's kind of hard to tell who you cuff him with. I'm not sure Jamal Williams will be able to do what Aaron Jones has done, but he should be a solid cuff in that offense. So sometimes it's not always about talent. Sometimes there are talented players, but I'm worried about the situation. A lot of people are after Le'Veon Bell. He's still, up to this year, was almost 2 years away from football, is getting insane amount of volume. He's going to play 13 straight games. He's only played 1 season of 16 games. I still don't think Le'Veon Bell is going to make it through the year. So I'm still staying away from that situation. And I still could be wrong because I'm human. So you can do what you want. I'm sticking to my beliefs and my guns and my intuition and what's gotten me to the championships before. And a lot of you guys started off bad because, again, who can see that Coleman was going to be injured, Adams was going to be injured, Hopkins was going to have a difficult schedule, Barkley was going to be injured. But just make sure that the changes you're making are going to help your team and not due to the circumstances that are not making your team bad. They're just unfortunate. And don't get rid of these guys right before the good. Even Montgomery. You got to take the good with the bad. He is still getting quite a bit of volume. And the weather is still going to get colder. He will be coming off a bye in week 6. At least there's no Mike Davis. The receiving part of a running back is the last to come. So I do see him evolving more as a receiver. Why am I going to get rid of somebody like that when I'm not going to get nothing for him? I might as well keep him. So you guys, your team is better than what you think, but you're only looking at numbers. Just like Coleman. I'm foreshadowing here. I'm going to tell you guys, Coleman's going to be on my sell list because if you see the game, yes, he had a big game. I think he rushed close to 100 yards, maybe over, had a touchdown. But he had no passing work. Mostert was the third down back, and he was splitting carries with Breida. that is not a good way to win games. I'm selling high on him. But if you're just looking at points, maybe you're trying to buy Coleman, and that's not where I want you guys to be. So that's why you got to really read between the lines. And if you don't, you got to trust analysts that do. Unfortunately, there's not a lot. Because just like you chase points, so do they. I had an analyst say, well, DJ Shark finally broke out. No, he's been broken out a couple of weeks ago. But they are reactive, the same way you guys are. You guys are reactive instead of proactive. Sometimes when you're proactive, like I said, some of you guys are off to a slow start, but it's not because you have bad teams. Make sure you stay the course because, for instance, one of my teams, the Fantasy Football Throne, that's the Followers League, we're 1-4. We're 1-4, but it's a really competitive league, and a playoff team is 2-3. So why am I going to just panic, disassemble my team that has Winston, Allen, and Darnold as the quarterback? We have Chubb, Lindsey, Freeman, Coleman, Monster at running back. We have DJ Shark, Kupp, Juju at receiver. Our tight ends weak. And that brings me to another point, guys. You guys are overreacting because you feel a position is weak. Because you feel you need a tight end. Because you don't have a third running back or second running back. Well, guess what, guys? It's really, really difficult to trade for elite players. That's why I always try to buy low. Like Nick Chubb didn't have the best game. I would try to buy him because it's going to be hard to get Dalvin Cook right now. Or Aaron Jones. Maybe Kamara, but even him, he's got the name brand. Same with Zeke. But you guys, because you can't trade for those guys, then you're willing to settle for the lesser guys, like Sony Michel and stuff. But the problem is, because you feel you have a perceived need, now you're overspending. Now the only thing you're doing is making that other team better and making your team worse. Even if you guys got receivers on your bench that you're not playing and you're willing to give them up for Sony Michel or somebody just so you have somebody to plug in at running back, that's still not helping you guys. Why not plug in that bench receiver who's good? Maybe you got a Terry McLaurin, a Robbie Anderson, a Calvin Ridley, somebody like that. Package him with somebody else and get an elite player instead of giving up. You know, somebody asked me, should I give Calvin Ridley for Tevin Coleman? I'm like, just because you need that, you're not going to give a better player just because you have this perceived need. Because you're only hurting your team. You're only making somebody else better. That's not what we're in the business. We're in the business of making our team better. Not making our team look better, making our team better. And you know what? If your strength is receiver, then keep building on that strength. If nobody's willing to trade you running backs, then trade for another receiver. Maybe package those two, Robbie Anderson and McLaurin, for Godwin, for Kupp, for Boyd, for, for Galladay. And just upgrade a receiver. Just keep climbing the ladder. And that's what you do in life, guys. Not everybody's good at everything. But if you have a strength, continue to use that strength. And maybe you can't get a three-headed monster because of the way you drafted or some injuries or whatever. That would be ideal, but if you can't, you have to adjust. And then you just play maybe you have an influx of receivers and you just play the matchups and then you got a receiver, you have a really good third receiver and a really good flex that is a receiver. It's not a running back. They're boom or bust, but maybe between those four receivers, you get 2 boom games. You get 2 20-point games. The other ones are kind of like 10 points. That's okay. It still ends up being the same. So even if you have a crappy tight end, and I gave this example before, even if your tight end gets 0, but you're stacked everywhere else, it can make up for that 0. And hopefully you don't get 0. And hopefully this, video sheds some light, because again, it's not all about the roster. You have to be right up here. You have to have the right mindset. All right, guys. As always, if you have any questions, comment down below. Follow me at social media. You have it there. And yeah, guys, good luck. Stay the course. Remember, a lot of you guys, maybe you have 1-4 records like me, 2-3, but you're only a game back. And you got a lot of points scored and you have a good team. Remember, Coleman's back. Anderson's got Darnold down. Saquon should be back. A lot of guys. And there's going to be a lot of guys on other teams that are going to be getting hurt and bye weeks. So stay the course, guys. Until next time. Peace! I'm out.
Are you surprised at how quickly you've been able to get back on the field? I mean, you're on crutches in Tampa, obviously going through a lot of pain. You've been through this injury before, but is it surprising that this quickly you've been able to do this much?
I don't know. Was it surprising to y'all? I mean, me personally, I feel like I said, I feel like a lot of it's mental, how you approach it. And I told you guys that the same way I attack the field and the same way I attack the weight room, I'm attack the training room and attack recovery and rehab, and I think I've been doing that.